Hey y'all, IrixGuy here, and I'm kind of between studios, so pardon my temporary setup here. But I hope that the video quality at least looks good. I've got to do some work in my studio, but today this is Epic Drone Show, and I wanted to share some additional insight in regards to the latest drone, the DJI Phantom 4. Now, looking at it, you can see that at first glance it looks very similar. DJI Phantom is without a doubt, in my opinion, the best drone on the market today, and that's true Phantom 1 through present. They just keep getting better. You can see here it does not have a ridiculously large form factor. The weight, although it does have a little bit of weight to it, and I think this may be one of the heavier, well actually I know it's one of the heavier Phantom models today, it's still not too big to be manageable. And that's the problem with a lot of other drones. There's a lot of these drones on the market that are just so big. They're heavy, they're bulky, and if you're, even if you're not carrying other equipment with you, when you're out in the field and you're having to lug around something that's so big, it becomes an issue. It really limits you as to how far you can hike to film, because it's just so big and so heavy that you just can't get the videos that you would like to, because you're lugging around something that's so big and so heavy. And that's what's so good about the Phantom, is that even though it is a significant size, it's heavy enough to hold up well within moderate wind, but it's not too large or too bulky to travel with. I mean, this case I've got it in is big. The Phantom 4 comes with with this case right here, and if you've seen my other videos, I like to refer to it as a glorified mail-order steak case, because that's what it looks like. If you've ever mail-ordered steak, they come in a little styrofoam thing that looks like this. It works, it's functional. Hey, it's a good size. They didn't put a lot of, obviously in comparison to this case that I have my Phantom 4 in that's waterproof and ruggedized, that little steak case, this right here is a lot smaller and a lot lighter. But what you don't get with that, you don't get the more waterproof, the one that the Phantom 4 comes in, that would not need to go near water, or it would not need to go near people that may potentially not handle it with cotton gloves. I mean, if you're going to travel and you want to have something that's going to better enable your Phantom to arrive and return in unbroken fashion, then I would strongly encourage you to invest in a case such as this one. And you can check the link within this video's description and find it online. Surprisingly enough, it's really not super expensive. I mean, yeah, everything for drones, there's a price, and some of it is quite expensive. But this, I feel that in the scheme of things, it's really, in my opinion, it's worth it, because I've got my Phantom in here, my Phantom 4, I've got my props. This right here, I've got to get me another short iOS cable. I lost mine. But that's my iOS cable. And then I've got my controller on the other end here, as you can see. And what's so great about this case, see, it's got wheels. And then also, in addition to wheels, I'll close it up and show you, it's got, see how nicely that closes rather? And then it's got these twisty things here where it'll lock. Now, this isn't a lock and key. This is just a lock to better ensure that it likely will not pop open during transport. So just extra peace of mind. And if you're traveling, and again, check your current regulations or whatever, but there's these two eye holes right here, and what I usually do is attach TSA approved locks. That enables TSA to get in, inspect it without having to have my combination or a key. Something to keep in mind is that when you're traveling, and again, check your current regulations, but what I always do, I take my batteries out of my Phantom, put my batteries in my carry-on, and check the Phantom below the plane without the batteries. And that just makes it a lot more convenient. Apparently, batteries may be a fire hazard, so it's super important that if you're traveling with your Phantom, again, check your current regulations, but, I would definitely put the batteries in my carry-on if that's what they're telling you to do. This right here is a pop-out handle. pop it out and it'll go out further. It's got sand on it. I don't want to get it all over my studio set. But yeah, that's good if you're rolling it to and from a destination. Super good. I've swam with this thing. It's got a handle on the top. It's got a handle on this side. Super convenient to carry it. Ooh, however you want to carry it. I got sand all over my studio set here. Wow. Yeah, sand's no joke. It can really mess up electronic stuff. And that's yet another reason why you want to be sure that you carry your drone in something such as this case that better ensures that it likely will not become damaged. Yeah, I just had to get that case ran out of the way because you know I like a good waterproof and ruggedized case. If you haven't watched my videos before, I encourage you to subscribe and go back, look at my Phantom 1 videos through present, and you'll see that I've always had what I feel is the best waterproof and ruggedized case to protect my investment. And I mean, I take these things all over the place. So, you know, I've swam with my older, haven't swam with the Phantom 4 yet, but I've swam with my older DJI Phantom models to and from where I was flying. And I mean, without a case, that's impossible. Well, I guess it could be doable, but somebody would really be playing a risky game of not letting it fall off their surfboard or whatever while they get to shore. So, you know, I would not recommend that. And even with a case, I would never recommend swimming with it. I mean, when you're doing that, you should 100% expect to lose your drone and or it become damaged and never work again. So, yeah, but the Phantom 4, this is, and on this epic drone show, I just wanted to talk some more about it. I want to know what your thoughts are about it because I've received thousands of comments already. A lot of them have been positive, a lot of them have been kind of on the fence. But it seems to me that the Phantom 4 is the first Phantom that people have kind of been lackluster about because the previous Phantoms we continue to see significant upgrades, especially with the Phantom. You know, when we got the Phantom 2 Vision Plus, we were still in HD, 1080p HD, but we had the FPV, which is just really slick. It was really nice to have that, and then the Phantom 3 Professional came out. It made it even better because Phantom 3 Professional was utilizing Light Bridge, which was more consistent for FPV than Wi-Fi, in my opinion. And now we've made the jump from. Now keep in mind, there's multiple Phantom 3 models. So, you know, if you're currently using maybe a Phantom 3 standard that uses Wi-Fi, then this could be a significant upgrade for you. But if you're using Phantom 3 Professional, in my professional opinion, the Phantom 4 is not that big of an upgrade. Because what you should really do is break it down. And again, I love the Phantom 4. The Phantom 4 is the best drone on the market today, in my opinion. But I'm not here to try to be a DJI fanboy. You know, I'm not just going to drink the Kool-Aid and tell you everything's 100%. Because in all sincerity, you've got to look at it in the real world. What are you going to do as a drone hobbyist? What are you going to do? What do you enjoy the most? And if it's capturing quality video, 4K 30 frames per second, you're going to get 4K 30 with the Phantom 3 Professional. Just like you do with this, 4K 30. This being the original Phantom 4 model, and I'm halfway expecting them to release some more professional grade Phantom 4 models, but this just doesn't go beyond 4K 30. That's tops. 4K 30 is tops. You can get that with Phantom 3 Pro. So assuming that the price is likely significantly different, why would someone want to spend a lot more for the Phantom 4 when they can get 4K 30 in the Phantom 3 Pro, and they also get Light Bridge in the Phantom 3 Pro controller like they do in the Phantom 4. Now the Phantom 4 is expected to have greater range, but if you're flying line of sight to be safe and responsible, why would you need the greater range that the Phantom 4 brings to the table? I mean, I can understand in certain scenarios you're out over open ocean, it's safe, there's absolutely nothing around. In those moments, it may be fun to really reach out and see what your Phantom 4 can do. But in your day-to-day use, I mean, unless you're out over open ocean every single day, I can't see that being a selling point to go from Phantom 3 Pro to Phantom 4. Phantom 4 has the active track, which tracks based upon its visual tracking, and you can check out my demonstration video on that. It worked. The problem was it didn't work, at least for me, consistently well. The first time I tried it, my first flight, that was a failure on my behalf because I had one battery. I was trying to pack in all this footage, and I didn't really have time to explore the active track. But then I posted a later follow-up where during that field test, that's all I did was active track. I put it through its paces, and it did work. Active track worked, and you can check out that video and see how well it worked. And even though it worked well, it wasn't consistent because you'll see throughout my test, it often bugged out, and it just wasn't 100% reliable. If it was 100% reliable, that would be a good selling point for the Phantom 4, but in a real-world scenario, I don't see myself, unless the active track visual tracking technology significantly improves, I don't see myself using that feature. I mean, ultimately, I'm going to fly line of sight and visually to be safe and do my do my flights that way. So what does active track bring to the table? That's not an incentive for me to want to go with Phantom 4 instead of Phantom 3 Professional. Some other features that Phantom 4 has, it does have obstacle avoidance. Now, someone raised a great point about that. They said obstacle avoidance could be extra good if you trigger a return home scenario so that it likely won't run into objects. Now, I can see that being a benefit that obstacle avoidance would bring to the table, but just for day-to-day use and when you're flying line of sight to be safe and responsible, I don't see that obstacle avoidance is that big of a deal. I mean, I'm glad DJI included it because drone pilots that may be less responsible and it may be a situation where it may potentially allow them to avoid catastrophic incidents with their drones. I like it from that perspective, but what I don't like is that I don't want people to have the expectation that now they can fly recklessly with the assumption that obstacle avoidance is going to work. Because if it's as flaky as the active track, for example, do you really want to trust that? I know I don't. I assume when I fly this, I assume that obstacle avoidance does not exist. It's never anything that I would want to depend upon. So I think, that being said, I don't think that having obstacle avoidance is an incentive for someone to upgrade from the Phantom 3 Pro to this. So what else do we have? We've got the newer motors. You can see they're taller. The way that the propellers mount's completely improved. I do like that. That's a nicety. But is it a nicety that justifies spending the premium over a Phantom 3 Professional? In my opinion, it does not. The landing gear is more widely spaced. During my flights so far, I've been unable to get the landing gear in the camera's frame, which is great. This is the first Phantom where I've had that, where I've had the ability to completely avoid getting the landing gear in the camera's frame. So that's an extreme positive. But I still get the props in depending upon how I've got the gimbal angled. Now the way that the camera attaches to the body, the gimbal design, how it seems to be very internalized, that's greatly superior in my opinion. Also, the shell itself seems to be super duper high quality. It's a lot heavier. You put this in your hand, you can feel that this is the best build quality, the most heavy duty build quality of a Phantom to date. I mean, this is definitely the most well built Phantom to date. So from that perspective, it's nice. But again, I never had a problem with my Phantom 3 Pro. I know a lot of people, there were a lot of people there's a large camp of people that always like to bash products. And one of the common trends was people bashing, oh man, my Phantom 3's got cracks in it, bro. And maybe some of those cases were legit. Maybe some people did have cracks. I never had a crack, but then again, before I used my Phantom 3 Pro for the first time, I put on the quick disconnect prop guards. So if that was an actual issue that people were encountering, my assumption is that it was likely linked to over-tightened props from the factory. So when I replaced those factory screws that were holding the motors in, I just tightened them to the amount of tightness they should have been. So I may have prevented my Phantom 3 Pro from experiencing the cracks, because the first thing I did prior to my first flight was install the quick disconnect prop guards on the Phantom 3 Pro. But anyway, I mean, it's this is the best Phantom yet. Don't get me wrong, but just being a numbers guy, I just don't see it. I can't recommend. The only way, my opinion, is that if you don't have a drone, definitely get the Phantom 4. It's the best drone on the market today, without a doubt. But if you have a Phantom 3 Pro, there's no need to upgrade. I mean, unless money's not an issue, there's no need to upgrade. I mean, if you just got to have the latest and greatest, in my opinion, jumping from Phantom 3 Pro to this, expect to be underwhelmed. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, it's not. Don't expect anything exceptional if you decide to make that leap. But if this is your first drone, or you've got an older drone, you don't have a Phantom 3 Pro, by all means, it's definitely a great upgrade. But I think with GoPro Karma right around the corner that we're really going to see, number one, I think this is just kind of the introductory version of the Phantom 4. I expect to see other more advanced versions of the Phantom 4. Because remember, Phantom 3, we had the initial two. We had Phantom 3 Advanced that topped out when it was released at 1080p, and then later on it got a firmware update that would enable it to go to 2.7K. And then we had the Phantom 3 Pro that out of the box was 4K. And then later on, to release lower priced Phantom 3s, DJI came out with Standard, which topped out at 2.7K, but it uses Wi-Fi instead of LightBridge to connect. So it was basically more bargain components with the with the same camera that the Phantom 3 Advanced had. And then they came out with Phantom 3 4K, which also used Wi-Fi, but it had the 4K camera, like the Phantom 3 Professional. So yeah, DJI owes us other versions of the Phantom 4, and I think from a smart business perspective, what they're doing makes sense. They're getting this out on the market because they're wanting to sell as many as they can before the GoPro Karma releases. And I keep mentioning Karma because, again, I feel that unless GoPro somehow really totally messes up, that the GoPro Karma is going to be the first competition, the first real competition that DJI has had. Because without a doubt, it's, and I'm not a DJI fanboy because I'm excited about the GoPro Karma, and I gave Parrot Bebop an honest attempt. That thing was a joke, but in my opinion, it was a toy. It wasn't something that hobbyists could do a lot with. But yeah, I mean, we're going to see, as a result of GoPro Karma, we're going to see DJI respond, and I expect to see DJI respond with enhanced versions of the Phantom 4. And what I really want to see is a Phantom 4 with a 360-degree camera. So when you're flying, the camera is filming spherically. So you're getting all sides straight down, this whole area. Think of a globe, and take that globe and cut it in half, like a basketball. You've got this half a sphere, and then that's sitting on the bottom of the drone. The advantage to that, check out the videos on my channel that I filmed in 360 degree. And that wasn't attached to a drone, but I had a 360 degree camera, and if you watch it with Google Chrome, the browser, while that video is playing, you can manipulate the camera as if you were in that room. You can look in all directions. So if you want to watch the entire video facing forward, you can. Or to the rear, you can. To the side, slightly down, however you want to do it. Or if you want to mix it up in real time and just constantly pan around while that video is playing, you can do it. And that's what's going to be the next big thing for drones. And the reason being is that when you record that video, and then when you're watching that video with a compatible browser such as Chrome, you're in the virtual cockpit of the drone. So, with this, like we have here, the camera is going to be recording where it's facing and that's it. But what if something happens to the left, to the right, directly below, and the camera's facing forward? You're going to miss that action. Well, the 360-degree camera, it's going to capture that action. And when you play back, the beauty of 360-degree is that when you play back, every time you watch the video, obviously it's the same video because it was capturing one point in time. But the beauty of it is that when you watch it back, you're not watching back one video because you can watch it, one time facing forward the whole way, one time to the side, one time down, and then the other time just constantly panning around throughout that video and just seeing everything in recorded real time. So it's the next big thing. It really is. It's going to be huge. And that's what I expect to see when the GoPro Karma comes out, but I also expect to see on an upcoming DJI Phantom if DJI wishes to remain number one within the drone realm. Because if they don't, they're going to start to fall behind. And why there's not already a 360-degree camera on a drone blows my mind. Because at CES this year, if you were fortunate enough to go to CES, you know that Nikon released, or they unveiled, they haven't released it yet, but it's called the Nikon Key Mission. And the Key Mission is a 360-degree camera. Don't know about the pricing yet. See, that's the other thing. The only 360-degree camera that I've used that was affordable was a Kodak Pix Pro. And you can check out those videos on my channel. Just wasn't high quality. Definitely wasn't 4K. And when you were doing the spherical part, even the 1080p video was greatly degraded in quality. So it signals where the technology is heading, but it was not a perfect technology. But yeah, tell me what you think. Again, another episode of Epic Drone Show. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, youtube.com/IrixGuy. Check out all my videos. Go to epicdroneshow.com. I'll post all of the old and new episodes there. And be sure to follow me on Facebook too. My Facebook fan page is facebook.com/IrixGuy. And always fly safely. Have a good time because that's what it's all about. We're all drone evangelists. So preach what's right. Every time you're out in that safe and responsible location, always be a drone evangelist. Spread the positive aspects of UAV technologies, because if we're not responsible and always preaching that, what's going to happen is that all these idiots are going to get this hobby banned, and then there's not going to be any fun with drones. Anywhere you are in the world, you're going to have, ooh, you can't use a drone. No, we don't want to get in that situation. So thanks for watching, and y'all have a good day. Hey y'all, IrixGuy here. I wanted to take a moment to thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel. I'm an independent channel, and it's viewers like you that help me to continue to grow. I appreciate your viewership, and y'all have a good day.